What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Keep It Kula Podcast. My name is Jaclyn. Here we have the one and only, one of the best MLB reporters out there, writers, a great author too, Keegan Matheson. Thank you for coming on, Keegan. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. It's good to be getting close to baseball now, finally.
Yes.
I'm ready. Normally this time of year, I kind of transition from really enjoying being on the couch to accepting that I need to go back to work. So it's about that time. It's exciting.
It's definitely a weird time where, we haven't really had this feeling about baseball in a long time with how the Blue Jays and how we really miss it. And, it's been quite an off season. And I'm going to ask you the question that every single person has been asking you for honestly, for months about Bo Bichette. But recently, it was revealed that Bo Bichette is not coming back with the Blue Jays as he signed with the New York Mets on a 3-year deal for $126 million. From your perspective, honestly, even as a fan and as a reporter, why did Bo leave Toronto?
Money. And they don't allow you to sit up in the press conference and say, I signed here because they gave me the most money. Then my story would suck. We'd have no other questions. We'd all go home. We'd have nothing to talk about. Money, unless your franchise is just a flaming heap of garbage, the money's going to win. And there aren't many of those franchises in any sport that you want to stay away from. Like every sport has their Cleveland Browns or something that you maybe might take a few bucks less to go somewhere real. But as long as the money is there, you're going to go where the money is. And as long as there are no other factors that are going to scare you off. The third base is different. I don't love that for Bo's defensive profile.
What
but
was
they're
your
not
reaction on that?
That's
when
surprising.
You first heard?
I think he could be a really solid second baseman. And he kind of fits that modern second baseman where you still need to have some defensive value. We're post-shift, so it's you need to have some value there. Third, I'm interested to see the throws across. We'll see. But Bo got his money. I'm happy for him. I think he's going to mash there. I think the Mets are going to be better than a lot of people expect because people like to pile on the Mets and make jokes about the Mets. So that sticks to them, but they're going to be good. That Peralta deal I love.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing Bo there. It's weird to see him there. It's going to be strange to cover my first spring training without Bo in a Blue Jays uniform since he was drafted in 2016. But I always enjoy, and this is not on the players at all. They're doing this properly. Bo did well in his press conference.
Yeah.
But there's always a talking around, and everyone in the room knows they just gave you the most money. And that's all right. That's what free agency's about, and all the power to them.
This comes after, not even 24 hours after, Kyle Tucker revealed that he was going to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Obviously, Blue Jays fans have a relationship that we don't love with the Dodgers. There's a history that has just happened in the past couple months. As a fan speaking, I was quite angry about him going to LA just because of what we saw and also just crazy amount of money. Yeah, we have some PTSD when it comes to the LA Dodgers. But with Kyle Tucker, yes, it was about the money. However, Bo's contract was about the money as well. But was LA giving us or would LA have tried to get Bo as well, or they were just full on Kyle Tucker?
I think Tucker made a little more sense for them, and the Dodgers, they just have FU money. They can do whatever they want. And the Blue Jays were big in on Tucker. Sure, they liked him a lot, like anybody would, but they wanted him on more of a normal deal. And 8-10 years where you go longer. And the Blue Jays are set up, I really like how their payroll's set up, smooth over the coming years. There's no year where you get screwed because everyone gets expensive all at once, there's no, quarterback coming off a rookie deal and you're going to have to trade guys. They're very well built into the future payroll-wise. And that's all around Vladdy. But there's been such a shift in baseball now where we've seen some of these quick deals, the get-right deals, the Alonso, Bellinger, even the pillow deals like a Marcus Semien with the Blue Jays in 21. Now I think it's going to become more normal. That's going to be just as much an option as the 8 or 10 year deal. And it makes a lot of sense because as you see a lot of these players come back to market, they are benefiting and they're winning. And even Bo in his deal, like the best thing he got is those opt-outs. Like he can make 40 plus mil a year and try to get back onto the market. Kyle Tucker can make a ton of cash in a couple of years and hit the market again. So it feels a bit more like NBA deals where you're seeing guys sign these short-term, huge annual average values. And if that works for the players, fantastic. Teams are going to have to adapt. And it's, the Blue Jays will have to adapt to that too. It's going to require some spikes, and it's going to be the biggest thing they talk about during the CBA this year. But, yeah, the Dodgers just have the ability to sit still. They don't even have to recruit, the Dodgers, like whatever. And at the very last moment, they can say, boom, here's our deal, screw everybody else. And that is why Blue Jays fans hate the Dodgers even more now. So no shortage of reasons.
So seeing what the Dodgers can and have been doing, lots of talks going around about an MLB lockout next year. What are the logistics of that actually happening?
Hope not, let me tell you, because I don't have many other talents in this world. But the legal and financial and economic factors that go into all of this are so damn complicated. That is why there are some people who are committed, like their job is covering the business of sports, because sports makes us throw around numbers. Like I talk about Bo, he's making 40 plus mil a year. If I actually step back and think about that, what the hell, right? But these numbers become small to us. I talk about Vladdy signing a $500 million deal, and since it's sports, it feels make-believe. Whereas if one company took over another company in a $500 million deal, that feels like business. But the sports kind of hides that for us. And I know that from a fan perspective, it's all going to be about the Dodgers, as there a salary cap, and those will be the surface level issues. But there's going to be so much more going into this. And what eventually happens is, like, if the number one big ticket item is a spending limit, salary cap, or harder penalties up top, if that's the number one item, one side will need to trade other things for that. Okay, if the players don't like that, then the players can ask for stuff, and it turns into a trade, a negotiation. And I hope to God it does not get messy. Probably will. But I hope that come December 2nd next year, we're all saying, man, like, dodged a bullet there. Because baseball's hot right now. And I don't say that because I work in it or for the league. I get paid all the same tomorrow, whether baseball's hot or not, right?
True.
But it's hot right now. And I think everyone has to recognize that. Not only are the viewership numbers up, like we see that in Canada with the ridiculous numbers the TV and streaming have done, but you see it in the U.S. as well coming. And we always talk about, like, is baseball cool? Do young fans know it? Could Mike Trout walk down the street in New York? Like, those conversations are going away. Baseball is cool. It's hot right now. And when you get that momentum, like, if you lose it, you're going to be searching for it for 10 more years. I think once you had the momentum, you got to hold on. So I am hopeful. I am choosing to be optimistic. A lot of the stuff is beyond my understanding when it comes to the economics. But man, oh man, it is going to be a story all year, and probably nobody's favorite story.
No, it is not. As someone who adores baseball, adores the Blue Jays, hoping to as of right now, talking about this team, definitely want to keep them going.
I hope so.
Please, just for, like, people's jobs, people's enjoyment.
Yeah.
We need baseball. We need something to work out. We got to talk about your book, which you were on the pod. Got it right here.
Yeah, I love it.
Beautiful book. Sure, it did very well throughout the entire summer, considering more people found out about the Blue Jays, people who didn't actually watch baseball.
Thank you to the 2025 Blue Jays. I mean, my God. That's all that was ever going to matter. The book came out, if you look back on the schedule, it was early June. The Jays were still like a 500 team. And the book came out. I'd like to think that somebody in my marketing department thought of this on the last day of a 4-game homestand with the A's. And I think they swept them.
Yes.
Which, like, brilliant. And from there, they just won games. So the quality of the book was never going to matter. It was going to matter if people gave a damn about the Blue Jays. And to the 2025 Blue Jays, I thank you for all the marketing. They should invoice me really
Truly.
for all of the press they did for me. But lucky,
Definitely. But so the Toronto Blue Jays, the franchise, obviously great book. So much stories were told. So many stories that we need to hear. Will we be getting a part 2 of this book? Because the 2025 season.
It is coming May 5th. There will be an updated edition. I should have a cover coming soon. It'll probably just have a little flashy sticker or something on it.
Okay.
If Isaiah Kiner Falefa had been safe, or if that ball that Ernie Clement hit to the track had have fallen, there'd be an entirely new book. I think there would have been a couple of new books, frankly. But we're doing an update. There'll be a new chapter fully on the 2025 Blue Jays.
Amazing.
And that'll be in the section where you have the World Series teams, the 15 and 16 teams. Yeah. And that chapter's added. Now, elsewhere in the book, we've just updated some language. If there's a place where it says the Blue Jays haven't been back since, we kind of tweaked that. And maybe we took out one or two of my typos, but I won't admit to any of those. The worst typo I had, it was in one of the early chapters, and Paul Beeston was talking about Toronto geography, and it was like, this was back when Mirvish Theatre was downtown and Union Station and the Princess of Wales Theatre, and I accidentally spelt Wales like the animal, Whales. I'm not a Toronto guy. I don't frequent the Princess of Wales Theatre, and that got through, so that's become a running joke with my publisher now, the Princess of Wales. But there'll be one more chapter. Everything else is cleaned up, so I'm excited. I feel like I've joked, I feel like I'm doing the Taylor Swift thing where I release the same damn album with one little song added, which I've never liked. But I kind of view that chapter much like the COVID years chapters, much like the Ohtani chapter, where it's just it's something that I wanted to have in there to complete the story. And so that 10 years from now, when somebody finds this for 10 cents in a bargain bin somewhere, it will be a more complete version of that. So enjoyed, I had a few stories I was able to save for the book, but it'll be coming back out, and I don't think I'll be doing the full marketing tour this time. I think I used up all
on you. I know, you were tired.
I used up all of my marketing man energy last year, but we'll see.
You were quite busy. Yeah, you have a part in this book about faces of the Blue Jays. Could we be seeing a face from this past season, a part of this? Maybe not now, but in a future new novel, let's say.
Definitely. I think that a lot of these players, and I think about this in terms of books now, in terms of, most of my job is just story of the day, show up, write a story, the next morning I forget, whatever. But now I think of, who could be a book? Vladdy will someday be a book, Vladdy is on pace in every conceivable way to be the greatest Blue Jays player of all time. He will, unless something goes completely unexpectedly, he will hold every single record this franchise has ever had. Now, he's got to win the ring to save us from that annoying conversation, which will just turn into another version of LeBron or MJ. To which my answer is shut up. But it's just, I can only watch First Take so many times. But
please. Yes.
Vladdy is on an absolute rocket ship to being the greatest Blue Jays player ever. No more discussion. But when I look back, it's, unfortunately, Bo's career here is a bit shorter. But you think of how close it would have been in that World Series game. And I know that no Blue Jays fans need to hear me talk about how close it was. They're aware. But even when we talk about the CBA, I was having this conversation on the radio today. If Isaiah Kiner Falefa is safe, if Ernie Clement's ball drops, if any of these things happen, that could completely reshape the CBA negotiations, because then we're saying, okay, the Dodgers can be beat. Even though they spend, the Blue Jays did it better, and there are still ways to do this. It reshapes every little thing. It's amazing to look back on.
Really was a season, and you're right. If the Jays won, the whole world would be different. Baseball would be different. Toronto, I think, would be very different as well. I think we would all be, better in the winter time, right? We are dealing with a pretty bad winter right now, and I think maybe we'd be a little happier. Yeah, so, I'm looking at the players that you including you guys like Joe Carter, Jose Bautista, Vladdy's prospect year. I see in the future I firmly believe this, that Ernie Clement will be there one day.
I like it.
Looking back at this year and looking at a guy like Ernie, how do you describe a jump like Ernie had?
It's representative of the team more than anyone, I think. Like Ernie Clement and George Springer represent the 2025 Blue Jays for me. Like, yeah, Vladdy at the end, he was their best player, but that's just who he is. He's supposed to be your best player. You signed him for $500 million. He better be your best player. The Blue Jays were good because, like, let's go back to spring training. They were projected around 77, 78 wins. It felt boring. It looked boring. Their offseason was uninspiring. Santander, I know Max Scherzer's a name, but even those deals, those signings, Jimenez as a trade, Scherzer, Santander, Hoffman, I can't look back in year one and call year one of those a raging success. The Blue Jays' success all came internally and from things going right, and Ernie and George represent that completely. And Ernie Clement is, I feel like, a Canadian baseball fan's dream. It goes back to Kevin Pillar and Ryan Goins and John McDonald and all of these players that fans have loved, but from a guy who's setting the postseason hits record, right? And then he steps in as one of the best quotes on the team. Like I think back to when we were in Seattle, that famous interview he gave. I remember standing there and he was sitting in his locker and he was just kind of glaring off into the distance. And he's like, I think this is great. We got them right where we want them. And I thought, this is not another role player. Like, this guy gets it. He was holding court with 50 reporters after every game in LA because people wanted to hear what Ernie has to say. And then even after the loss, his interview where he's saying, I haven't stopped crying. I just want to spend another hour with my friends here.
So
I'll remember
sad.
that interview for the rest of my life. It was one of the best quotes, I've ever heard in a baseball clubhouse. So he is what you hope every minor league signing will be. 999 out of 1,000 minor league signings are just kind of whatever. But I've told Ernie this to his face. Like when the Blue Jays signed him, I didn't bother writing a story. Like I still remember that day. I remember looking at my phone being like, Ernie Clement, listen, I don't know every other organization's utility infielders, okay? I'm kind of busy with the Blue Jays. So that news would get announced and say, Ernie Clement, okay, he's hit 190 in the big leagues. Nah, whatever. I'm going back to the beach, right? It's day 40 of spring training. Whatever. And I think he laughed. He was like, no, why would you anyways, right? Because coming into Toronto, he didn't have it. He was just another guy. And even that's being pretty generous. But he has been empowered by the right people in the organization. He has nailed everything they've asked from him. And he's a lovable guy. Like, he is, all the reasons Blue Jays fans love Ernie Clement is genuine and legitimate. I've been around guys who are fan favorites, and maybe I wouldn't recommend they be your favorite, is how I'll say it. But Ernie is completely genuine and earnest, a caring guy, and I'm really happy to see him getting all this love because he deserves it.
He's one of those guys that you have to root for.
Yeah.
Like, you really can't find a flaw. And I think a lot of Canadians like about him too is that he's a hockey guy.
He is.
He's a big hockey guy. Buffalo obviously is kind of like Toronto, like the Bills, for example, is Toronto's team. And so there's a lot of Canadian qualities about Ernie that Canadians really respect. And as you said before with the post-game Game 7, I will never forget that. I will never get that picture out of my mind of Ernie crying. And it was so raw and so real, and everyone felt it. Like Toronto was absolutely crushed. Everyone was crushed. Even people who just started watching baseball that week, the week before.
Yeah.
It really meant something special, and I think that's how the Blue Jays will be viewed because of that year. And also, these guys, obviously, we don't know them, or you do, but all of us don't. We don't know them personally. They seem like really great guys. And I think that's the main thing that people love about them.
It's a good clubhouse. I think that Mark Shapiro really nailed it in his postseason press conference, and listen, a lot of the times over the years, I've said that Ross Atkins or Mark Shapiro have not nailed it, but an important part of my job is that when they do, you got to say that too. Like, you need the same energy. I know that people can get cranky in my job and just like to crap on people. That's not cool. It's not fun. I think that was Mark Shapiro's best moment as a member of this organization, is talking about what the team meant to Canada and to baseball fans, because it's like there's no greater gift than something to look forward to. And the Blue Jays gave people that every single night. And there is nothing in sports like following a team making a pennant run and making a World Series run. You know, even like I'm a massive Packers fan. Like I love NFL football.
Sorry, by the way.
Yeah, RIP every year.
Too bad, man. Too bad.
When you are a football fan, I mean, yeah, they play a game, you wait a week, you pick it apart. You don't have that momentum. You do not. But in baseball, the night after night after night momentum and giving people something on their calendar every single night to do and to look forward to. There were, I mean, from the trade deadline on, you're looking at, 80-plus games probably from that. And a lot of people who have never watched a game with a friend or never given a damn about the Blue Jays, they have something to talk about at work. They have something to get their friends together for. And that's extremely special. You know, that's what people will remember from this. Like I was hearing from people I've never heard from elementary school. Now, half of them just wanted tickets, which, I tell them to beat it. But it's amazing what it brought people together for. So it's special because of that. You know, there can be great teams that are kind of heartless. You know, you don't really connect with people.
True.
That wasn't really the case here. But like I even think back to 2022 and 23, like when the Blue Jays made the playoffs, people were still kind of like, okay, prove it, whatever.
I felt like that.
Different.
I wasn't fully invested in the Blue Jays really until, for some reason, it was this season. I decided before they got good, there was just something really interesting about this team. There was something interesting about Addison Barger. Yeah. It was like these guys that just seemed really likable, and I just got locked in, and then they got good, and lucky enough, I had already started talking highly about the team. I think when you were on the show, actually, I think I think the Blue Jays are legit, and I got tons of comments of people telling me I'm an idiot. Those are my favorite thing. My favorite thing to do is go back into my old episodes and old clips when the Jays just beat the A's, as we were saying,
right,
and saying the Blue Jays are legit, they can do it, and all the comments are like, they need to beat a good team. They're not good. Schneider's not good. Yeah. Exactly. So now going back, I'm like, I'm happy to be
People
right.
think that hating things makes them interesting when really it's just, get a personality.
Exactly. I was happy about the team for them being okay, and then all of a sudden they got great. And that's what was so special, is that not everyone on this team was a superstar, but there was something so likable about every single guy. Looking at this offseason, made some huge moves, huge signings. Is there still a part of you, or that Jays fans should feel, is there a sense of failure in this offseason because we did not land guys like Tucker and let Bo leave?
I feel like I sense some of that, but I also think it's a bit misplaced because it's so much to do with timing, in my opinion. Now, if the Blue Jays went out this week and signed Dylan Cease and Kazuma Okamoto, I think people are talking about, hell yeah, there's momentum, this is awesome, they're countering all these big moves. But the Blue Jays, for 90% of the offseason, spent it in the seat of, like, the big winners of the offseason. Now, nobody wins an offseason. Think about that Marlins trade 2012. Like, it never matters. It's just like last offseason. Their moves weren't great, and they almost won the World Series. Whatever. But I think that I think people are underrating how much better their rotation is going to be. You're adding, let's call it Dylan Cease over Chris Bassett, upgrade. You're adding Cody Ponce or Barrios, however that works out, over Max Scherzer's spot. I know that Scherzer had some good moments in the postseason.
Yes.
Regular season, he gave them half a year of a 5+ ERA. That's going to be upgraded. You get a full year of Trey Savage. Is he going to look like God every day? Probably not, but he's pretty good, right?
Special stuff.
Yeah.
Special stuff.
And I like what they did in the bullpen. I like the Rogers addition. You get a full year of Varland.
Yes.
Hoffman, I expect to be better, or at least more consistent. Their pitching's a lot better. The offense right now feels like there may be room for it to step back just a bit. But at the same time, I think an important part of my job is saying you never know what's going to happen. Like this time last year, I was talking about this time last year, I thought that by September, maybe George Springer's like a DFA candidate. Wow. Maybe the Jays are 10 or 20 games below 500. Do you even want to bother with Springer? or do you want a young guy to play this year and next? Like, that was a very realistic outcome, potentially. And he had a career year. So is George going to play like that again? I don't know. It's easy to point at Santander as the guy that's going to bounce back and fix everything. I don't know. But Okamoto needs to do a ton. It's really important that he hits and replaces Bo's bat. It's important that Ernie holds up over 162 and hits. But I think that the pitching is just a heck of a lot better. And it's easier to focus on offense because that's just more fun. Like, people want to talk about home runs and Bo, but the pitching is really strong right now.
When Bo does return, as we know, Canada week, it's always a big week. The Mets are in town. Last year was the Yankees, and it was great because the Jays swept. When Bo returns, should we expect boos or cheers?
I hope people cheer him, and they should. You know, it's because I'll say this carefully: like, Toronto fans don't boo. It's the Toronto Blue Jays fans will boo a check swing call or a call at first base, but it happens so many times where I'll see the tweets and it's like, oh, but this player just got booed hard. Like, I'm in the stadium, it was 10 people, right? Like, there are so many times too where, like, I don't need fans to be booing their own players. It doesn't make my day any better. But when a pitcher will be walking off the mound after a god-awful appearance, and I'm thinking in my head, like, this guy's getting pleasant applause. If this was New York, people would be throwing things at him, you know? Toronto's not a harsh market, media-wise either. Like, it's a very soft market. And I think that Bo, even without that, deserves to be celebrated. Yeah. But, especially in Toronto, I think he will be celebrated. That game could have broken another way, and he is an inch behind Joe Carter for the biggest moment in Jays history. You know, like a hero. And like I put this in the updated chapter of the book, but just like thinking about how much Bo would have hated all those alumni appearances for the rest of his life, you know, like getting invited to every golf tournament and speaker thing, like he would have hated that. But he should have had that moment, and I'm looking forward to that. Like he deserves to be remembered very fondly in this city, and he gave the Blue Jays absolutely everything he could, you know, because I saw him walking around the clubhouse after those games, and he looked like crap. You know, like you could see it on the field, but man, like he would have an ice pack on his knee that was sticking out a foot. He was hobbling around, and he did everything he could, and he almost did enough.
He truly did. He hit that home run with one leg, practically. Ooh. You know, going back into that World Series, that the 18-inning game is something we'll never forget. Did you just have to keep on rewriting your story every 5 seconds?
Yeah, I've never been as sick in my life as I was that day. I thought I was going to die that day in the Dodger Stadium press box. And that is also the last stadium in baseball I ever want to be at. I hate being at Dodger Stadium.
Really? Why is that?
God-awful to get to, awful to get around.
That I've heard,
A press box that fits 4 people when in the World Series you need 300. It's if I were to rank places to cover a baseball game, that might not even be on the list. And,
do you have a number one other than Toronto?
Ooh. Honest to God, earnestly, Tropicana Field. I love going to the Trop because it's easy for my job. It's like going to a local hockey rink. You just park up against the building. You walk in. It's easy. The press box is empty. It's very nice, you know. But and I mean, I love going to, you know, like Yankee Stadium because they have the best meal for media and stuff. Like, it's all selfish crap, right? But I'll never forget that 18-inning game because I was sick as a dog. I was just in hell, and it very quickly went from. And even when I've looked back on that, I don't think it was a great game. It was a long game. For 9 innings, it was one of the best games I've ever covered. But at a certain point, long does not equal greatness. Like, it just, at a certain point, I just thought, come on, like, can we do the ghost runner here? Or sorry, the automatic runner on second.
Right.
We've got to speed this along somehow. And then Freddie Freeman, like, I feel like when I talk about and read and watch stuff about the World Series, that Freeman homer doesn't even come up enough. But I think people are just like, whatever, it finally ended. Thank God.
That's how I felt, honestly. As much as I love my Blue Jays, I was just like, someone, please score. I need to go to sleep.
Finally. It was unbelievable game. And it's so that's why I feel like it was I guess like I feel like I covered the longest season possible, like ever. And so it can't get worse than that. But man, that was a tough clubhouse to be in after that game. If you're going to play for 6 hours, you want to at least win. But that was tough.
That was a tough one. I remember, yeah, it was, I was just waiting for someone just to score. And I like Freeman a lot, Canadian guy, so I'm happy it was him, other than like a guy like Shohei, for example. That wouldn't have been great. Yeah, and like in the media box, he said it was tight. That media box, or media room, has to have been crazy, because it's World Series, and then when you were on last time, you talk about the Japan media, the Japanese media. How did you all fit in there?
There's a lot of auxiliary press. A lot of people had to go sit in the bleachers with like little lap tables. They open up some other boxes. So it's a ton of media, national from both cities, a lot of Japanese media, and then frankly, just a ton of idiots who can get a press pass and want to be there, frankly. Old guys who have nothing better to do, so they come to the World Series every year and get in the way, even though they're not actually doing any work. But it's just... It turns into, like, people can understand this much more when you think of Super Bowl Media Week, how there's always just some clown asking stupid questions because they want a clip for TikTok. Yes. It's just a lot of that dumb stuff.
Can't stand it.
Becomes... It feels like it's not real baseball coverage anymore. You know, like, it's strange because I spend all season when I'm on the road. It's like me and a couple other reporters. If I need a player, I just walk up. I've got all day. Whereas in the World Series, it's just a bunch of people I've never seen before just jamming cameras in everyone's faces and yelling and trying to get Instagram clips. And it's Super Bowl Media Day every day. It is not something I enjoyed in any way, but amazing to witness at the very least. And the Japanese media coverage of Ohtani is... Like I even experienced some of it now with Kazuma Okamoto. Yeah. It's fascinating. And like I love that the Jays have Okamoto because I have so many friends in the Japanese press and I get to hang out with them again. Like I love seeing them, but it quickly makes me realize how small of a press corps we are, and the Japanese interest is amazing.
Yes, definitely. And when you were on last time, you explained how one Japanese player here makes, a guy like Tyler Heineman could be like the biggest star in Japan that day, let's say, right? So those things happen, which makes the Blue Jays much bigger in the world, not just Toronto or America as well. So going into this next season, we have to fill the void of Bo not being there, because Bo was the best hitter in baseball for the regular season. Who do you think will step up in that place, if there is a guy that can take the spot of Bo Bichette?
I think it's got to be incremental and kind of boring, like right across the roster, because I don't think you ask for more from Ernie Clement. Like, if he can repeat exactly what he did last year, hell yeah. Like, he's a Gold Glove caliber defender. I think if he plays at one position regularly, he will be nominated, maybe win one of those. He's a great base runner too. Andres Jimenez being healthy and competent at the plate will help a lot. That was not always the case. He had that first week where he looked like Barry Bonds, and then it was just a mess, right? So having him healthy and playing elite defense at shortstop will help that. Because a lot of the projections, which is why I have a problem with projections across the board, they don't account for defense at all. And I see these projections that project team values, but you look at Clement and Varsho and Jimenez that don't have that have a human being please step in and consult with your calculators for a damn minute. Like, Andres Jimenez, I'm pretty confident will absolutely be a finalist and nominee for the Gold Glove Award and probably win one. Mm-hmm. So you get value back there. But I think you also need to account for what if George Springer takes a step back? What if all of these depth players don't have timely hits because the story of 2025 was it's a new guy every day. What if it's not? What if things go wrong? Last year was what happened when everything goes right. And the Blue Jays were pretty healthy. I know they lost Jimenez and Santander for stretches. Neither of them were playing well. They did not lose valuable at-bats for much of the season. So what happens if they do? You need these fringe players and depth players to step up. The Blue Jays do not have massive prospects kicking down the door, like maybe RJ Schreck or an outfielder comes up, but they don't have the next big thing coming up from AAA. It's got to come internally, and if there's one guy I can hang it on, it is Okamoto. That's unfair coming over from Japan, but he is making big money for a reason, and he's got to do a big amount of this.
With Okamoto coming, there was a lot of these rumors that that's one of the reasons why Bo didn't want to stay. Is there any truth to that you know of?
No, nothing related to Okamoto. Like if the money had been there for Bo in Toronto, I think it'd be a Blue Jays still. That just got the Blue Jays to kind of the point they're at right now, honestly, in spring or in free agency, where if you're going to sign an infielder, it needs to be an upgrade over Ernie Clement, essentially. You know, like I know that there are infielders out there who are good and they're big leaguers, but you're not replacing some bum at second base, right? Like it's not a black hole. If you have a black hole at a position, you sign whoever. You just need to get through the season. But Ernie Clement's a really good big leaguer. So if you're going to sign someone and they're only raising your ceiling a couple inches, it's not worth that 10 or 15 million bucks. And that's what they're running into in free agency now. Bo still would have made sense because that's enough of an upgrade. And then Ernie can super utility, do whatever he does.
Yeah, put him in.
But after Bo's off the board, after Tucker, after Bellinger, that's why I feel like the trade market makes more sense now. Because, like, who are the top hitters available? Like Eugenio Suarez or something. Like, that doesn't really make sense. It doesn't fit the Jays' style. So I think the trade market has to happen now.
Yeah, we saw what the trade deadline did for us. It brought us a guy like Louis Varland, like Shane Bieber, who was absolutely amazing for us, who is now staying in Toronto, which was one of the most rock star things I've ever seen. Him not even testing the market, just saying, I'm coming back. Let's run it back. You know, speaking of pitchers, who do you believe will be the starting pitcher for opening day?
I think you give it to Cease. I think that big of a deal.
I was thinking Gosman.
It's such a big deal. I would want to give it to Gosman if I was in John Schneider's office. Both, I just respect the hell out of Kevin Gosman, and I always will. He is not just a great pitcher, but is incredible to deal with. Someone who I really like and respect. I'd love to see him still get it, and maybe you can pass the torch to Dylan Cease a year from now. But when you get the biggest pitching contract in team history, it feels like one of those things that baked into it. But it's a hell of a rotation. You know, you have, especially with Gosman and with Shane Bieber pitching in contract years. Like, for all the analytics and fancy stuff people want to barf out, nothing is better than a guy in a contract year. A motivated player with tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars. In Bieber's case, maybe $100 million that can swing on this season, right? That is the best motivation in the world. We see it in every sport, that a contract year can be a very good thing. So I think this rotation is stacked. I think it's deep. And I think it's their biggest strength now at this point.
Definitely, because it was, for a lot of this past season, it was a weakness, right? We didn't know what we were doing with Barrios or Bassett
That
or
back
Lauer.
end was weird. Yeah.
It was a weird time. To end this off, not asking about baseball here. Your Green Bay Packers are out of the playoffs. I'm sorry to bring it up. I'm sorry about Micah Parsons. I really thought this would be one of those years for you guys.
Yeah.
Just, you don't really have any receivers. It was just a tough one. Who is your Super Bowl pick?
Man, the much of my frustration about the Packers being out is the fact that I think this is just a dud of a year.
It's so crazy
Like,
this year.
that's why I was hoping that the Bills, just because so many of my friends like the Bills.
Yes.
Because nothing seems intimidating at this point. I think I would still pick the Rams right now. I'm probably going to bet on the Rams to take out the Seahawks this weekend because I'm going to bet on McVay, and I'm going to bet on Stafford, and I'm probably going to fade Sam Darnold. God bless him. But I feel like when the lights get bright, it kind of tightens up. But, man, that's why I wanted the Packers to make a run this year, because I don't think this is a strong year just across the league. There are years where it's just everyone's kind of good. You know, we're talking about the Patriots, who should still be a year away from greatness, facing Jared Stidham.
Yeah.
Like, give me a break.
Gosh, I'm so annoyed by that.
You know what? The Bears beat the Packers, which is bigger than winning the Super Bowl to them, so congratulations to them. The Packers dream of Super Bowls, the Bears dream of beating the Packers. So that dork Ben Johnson can give one of his dumb locker room speeches again. It's good for me that I have a genuine reason to hate, and I mean hate, fully hate the Chicago Bears again. The NFL is the one sport where I still allow myself to be a total fan, and for years I've just had to pity the Bears. You know, like going back to when they were good, the Brian Urlacher Bears that gave them some trouble.
Yeah, sure.
But when I see that absolute loser Ben Johnson in the locker room, F the Packers, I'm like, dude, you're still thinking about us, okay? stay little brother, and it's interesting to see how that works. But man, it's I'd I'd love to see this underdog Broncos thing work out, but I can't stand Sean Payton either, so I don't really know.
So true.
Right? It's tough for me. So I think I want to get behind the Rams because I love Devontae Adams forever and always.
You have to,
but
yes.
I feel like that's where I'd put my $1 right now. I just feel like it's kind of an unexciting leftovers of and it's good for the NFL that it's not just Patrick Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson again, sure. Yeah. But man, it just doesn't really light me on fire, but we'll see. I'm a Rams man though.
Yeah, you know what? I'm sure I like the Rams too, but there's no team that I like. I'm a Giants fan, but I love the Bills as well. I'm sorry, I was cheering for the Bears. Caleb Williams, you gotta put respect on that man's name. It
drives me
dude.
nuts. Now, it does drive me nuts how he just spends his whole life mashing the circle button to spin out of the pocket and rip throws down the sideline. But like his arm talent's unbelievable. I'm going to hate him for the next decade, but I'm going to respect him.
Listen, rivalries are back. Packers-Bears rivalry is back.
Which is so great. Like
it is perfect.
So good. Like when I look at the games this weekend, sorry, I'm punching my mic now. I'm too fired up.
Yeah, listen, you're fired up as you should be.
But when I look at the games this weekend, I'm like, okay. And granted, Sunday will come. I'll throw $10 on something, and I'll be very interested. I promise. But
I'm
like
Packers-Bears.
When that was starting, I was like, man, this is like I am for as serious as I take it, like I don't let it ruin my life. And I was like, honestly, like no matter how this goes, this is cool as hell. Like this is just such a great rivalry. And sports are better when teams hate each other a little bit, So it was cool. I wish it had gone a little bit further, but gosh, the Patriots for me, I still attach to the stench of just hating Tom Brady my whole life growing up because he was always better than my teams. So we'll see. But I'd love to see the Rams go out. And then I don't know if that would be it for Stafford, if he'd kind of ride out like Elway on that. We'll see. But when in doubt, I bet on coaches and I bet on Sean McVay.
Yeah, he's the best coach in this lineup here. Patriots have done something fantastic going from 3 wins last year to, 13 wins in the regular season. Yeah. Quite a story. Drake May is amazing. Yes. Vrabel really changed up this team. But, yeah, there's no team I, need to see win. But I guess it also makes it fun because I'll just, as you said, throw in some bets. Yeah. I do love to make some random bets throughout games. You get very invested. Do not get me wrong. But, yeah, I think you and I agree that we think Rams are going to get it done. Yeah. Keegan Matheson, everybody, once again, thank you so much for coming on. If you guys have not really, guys, after this season, if you have not got this book yet, you are absolutely crazy. Part 2 coming out in May 5th, you said, I believe?
May 5th. That's
May
right.
May 5th. All right. Hopefully, you guys get it. Listen, get this one, get the other one. Collector's item. This great. Listen, the Shohei Ohtani, I told you one last time. That chapter is so good and was so crushing, but it might be second crushing to then the 2025 Blue Jays season. I feel like that's
like my marketing hook every year. Like there's a new chapter that you're all gonna hate.
You're gonna hate it. It's like you're gonna absolutely hate the chapter, but you're gonna have to just read it because it's so well done. So Keegan Matheson, again, thank you for coming on. Can't wait to get part 2 of this book and just keep on enjoying the Blue Jays and hopefully maybe another signing.
I like it. Maybe I need something else to keep me busy for the next couple weeks. So I appreciate you having me.
All right, everybody, that's going to do it. Thank you, Keegan, once again. Subscribe to the channel, give this episode a like, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.